Guys, we are live and welcome, everybody. We're excited today because we do have a special guest and we'll get to her in just a minute. But before we get started, we are ATX Homegirls, a diverse group of local realtors bringing you guys valuable content about all things real estate. So Amanda's not here, but she'll be popping in here in a bit. And Melissa, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks guys for joining us again. If you're repeat, or if you're our normal audience and you came again, we thank you so much and we appreciate you for supporting us in our crazy shenanigans.
Yes.
I'm Melissa Hudson. I'm originally from Austin, Southeast Austin, 78741. My family still lives there. Well, my mom and grandma. I've been in real estate for 10-ish years. I have 2 kids and I have a granddaughter, and I live in Manor, and I work a lot in the East Corridor, but really, truly, I do residential real estate anywhere in the greater Austin area. I love what we're doing here. We're here to do something fun, provide value and content that's, I guess, relatable or valuable for you, the listener. And so we just appreciate you and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Melissa. Guys, I'm Liza Brazel, been in the business for 10 years, also in the residential sector of the real estate here in the greater Austin area. I have a 11-year-old son. Oh my gosh, he just started middle school.
He's a middle schooler.
He's in middle school. So today was his first day of school. So I'm excited about that. I will be talking to him a little bit later after this live stream to see how his day went. Other than that, that's it, guys, about me. And we do have our special guest. She knows everything about land planning. She's the expert, your go-to person. And this is why we are excited about having her on our live stream. So we can ask her all kinds of tough questions and maybe interesting questions that you guys might find interesting. So Ricca, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everybody. I really appreciate being a guest on the show. This is exciting. I love what they do, what they're doing, and the content they're providing for all the listeners out there. So my name is Ricca Keepers. I'm the founder and owner of Keepers Land Planning. Keepers Land Planning and Permitting, we do a lot of reviews and feasibility for clients that, whether residential or commercial, looking for what they're trying to do on their property, because a lot of times you'll get feasibilities and they don't give you specific square footages on how much you can add on to the property. Can you do an ADU? Can you do a shed with a bathroom? What in the world can I do on my property? So we created a format. People go on our website and they order those reports, which is easier, especially for the realtors out there, because you guys should not be responsible for being a land planning expert as well.
Yes.
And I went to school for it. I have a master's in urban planning from Texas A&M and founded the company over 5 years ago. And yeah, that's me really. We work with builders and developers and we focus on them because we white glove them and work so well with them. And we're just really good at what we do. So I'm here to answer questions for you guys.
Thank you so much. Yay! We're excited about that. We do have a bunch of questions. So I think the bigger topic, especially in Austin, ADUs. And I don't know if you want to jump into that a little bit, specifically with the difference between SFR3 and then SF2, and then how does that affect a homeowner that's wanting to build an ADU on their property?
Yeah, well, that's the exact perfect question, because you can't just put an ADU on any property. And in fact, City Council is trying to get a resolution passed where ADUs will be allowed in single family 1 and single family 2 zones. And I did a training last week and mentioned that, but they're supposed to be adopting that ordinance this month, which would mean you can literally build ADUs on all residential lots in single family 1 and single family 2 zones. And as you guys know, when you're looking at properties in single family 1 and 2 zones for clients, those are larger lots. There's a lot of space. It's very different than a single family 3 property. A lot of the times you're looking at lots that are under 7,000 square feet, whereas you're really limited on square footage, especially on the east side. You know, I know you girls work on the east side a lot. I mean, there's a lot of building there, and yeah, I mean, you're really kind of landlocked in that area because the lots are so small. So this new code, this new ordinance will allow for these ADUs. And for those of you who don't know, I'll really define what that is. So an ADU stands for an accessory dwelling unit, which means you can build a unit up to 1,100 square feet. And it is going to be deemed a secondary property as compared to the primary home. So there has to be a primary home on the property for it to be deemed that. And you are limited to 1,100 square feet. Now, the 1,100 square feet is the exterior facing of that structure. It's not the interior. So builders, have to know those little details, because if you're building a home or an ADU that's 1,000 square feet, then you've got that little extra room that the city is going to look for, because the city is very, very strict when it comes to permitting ADUs. You can have a full kitchen in an ADU. You can have a full bathroom, a full complete bathroom in an ADU. You can have 2 bathrooms depending on your tap plan, your water capacity. And we look at that information because we have our own login. So we're able to find that out pretty quickly.
Ooh, great.
And on average, we save clients about $20,000 when it comes to upgrading tap plans, because it really does depend on the year that property was actually platted, became a legal lot. And if it's illegal, if it was platted previously, if we're talking 1990 or previous, the city will go on that plat date when they're issuing and accepting an application for a new tap plan or an increase in water capacity, because you're going to have that in most cases. What else do you want to know about ADUs?
Yeah. So
one of
go
the
ahead,
questions,
Melissa. Yeah.
well, I just to kind of get some clarity for people that are just learning about this. So I'm hoping that we have some audience pick up and questions regarding what they can do with their current lot, what you're telling them right now. So a lot of the families that I work with, they're sadly, they're having to sell their homes in order to, and I feel like I'm about to sneeze, y'all. So if I do, y'all, so sorry. I'm trying really hard.
Get it out, Melissa. Get it out.
I know. And y'all, we're on live, so this happens, right? So hold on.
That's true. There you go.
I got it out. Okay.
All right, good.
Screen. No, I'm joking.
I know, right? I broke the internet. Okay. So a lot of the folks we work with are saying, okay, so what can I do? I'm just going to go ahead and sell my home so that I can buy some land and go build, right? And so with this new code potentially coming and the approval coming, what is the threshold, square footage lot threshold for someone to build an ADU? I know that there's a minimum. And so if folks are even considering that, or maybe they have family that pass property down to them and they think, how can I make this work? How can we keep this estate in the family? Maybe we, someone lives in there and then we build an ADU and we have income coming from that to help pay taxes. So tell us a little about the minimum threshold in order to do the 1,100 square foot ADU.
Yes. So the minimum threshold to do multiple units on a property is 7,000 square feet. And a lot of those lots, single family too, they're large. They're 10,000, 9,000 square feet. So they would automatically meet that requirement. There is another item that's in the code. If you have a property and it's 10,000 square feet, and we actually did a quick report that one of our realtors put on MLS to sell the property, and the good thing about that is everything is right there. So they know everything about the property. They know what they can and cannot do. Well, we found out, actually my land reviewer found out, I didn't even know this. He found it in the code. He is amazing. That if you have a property that's over 10,000 square feet and you have one unit on it, you can put a guest house on that property as well. So it is like an ADU, but it's like a loophole in the code.
Okay.
I have to say. Which is kind of amazing because I didn't even know that existed. So
yeah, guess
it has to be over 10K.
Over 10K. Yep.
To be called a guest house, and then a threshold of about 7,000 square foot for an ADU.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And then right now, I mean, I know you said that ordinance isn't coming out till the end of this month, or is that next month?
It's supposed to be the end of this month. Right now, City Council is really focused on their budget, since fiscal year and everything is September. So it could be pushed till September, honestly.
Okay.
And a lot of commissions and stuff were canceled this month to just make room for all the man hours that city council is putting in for that agenda. I can't even imagine how big that budget is, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine either. I was wondering what would be the loophole now to the workaround for an ADU on an SF2.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious about that.
there is a loophole. So if you've got a client and they're trying to figure out if they should keep the property that they have, I would say you might want to just recommend them keeping the property. And the reason is if they did we call it a shed, but it's basically a very small accessory unit.
Yeah.
The loophole is if you build a small tiny home, we'll say, that's under 500 square feet. Usually we try to keep it about 400 square feet. It can have full bathroom. It can have plumbing. It cannot have like a kitchen though. It cannot have a stove top. It cannot have a second sink.
Okay.
Then you can use that, or, I would say more long-term rentals or an office or some other kind of way to generate income for your clients. But it's another loophole that we've used over and over and over again. The city knows it exists, but
No kitchen.
no kitchen.
No kitchen,
Yeah.
no stove, and one sink
And one sink.
for it to be the loophole. That's crazy.
Isn't that weird?
And I don't think a lot of people know that.
How do you design that? Is it just like maybe you have like a toilet and a shower in a room, but you put your sink outside with a mirror because they got to brush your teeth, but maybe they have a pot of like a coffee pot or something,
Yeah.
And then they put like a griddle. I don't know. There's your kitchen, a griddle.
The ones that connect to the outlet. I mean, I would imagine that would be okay to have. But that's crazy. That is so crazy to me that there's a loophole for that and people don't know about it and they have the space to build on and possibly get some income off of it or be an income producing property. Or like you said, with the smaller lots that have a 2-bedroom house, it could be their office outside.
Exactly.
Like a casita with no kitchen.
Exactly.
Yes. Full house.
That's awesome. The other question I had, Melissa, I don't know if you wanted to, if you had another question on ADUs before I ask my other one.
I have a piece of ice in my mouth, so go ahead.
Okay. So what about impervious cover? I know with building a deck or even the driveway, when some of the driveways have either crushed granite and then part of it's like a slab. I know all of that matters and there's certain percentages, but I don't think a lot of people understand that with all of it counts as impervious cover. So I don't know if you wanted to jump in a little bit on that and how this could also affect a homeowner, because it does affect them with what they can build and because I think you brought up an example on one property that I want to say they landscaped their entire backyard. So I don't know. Go ahead and I'll let you talk about that because I'm going all over the place here.
No, that's a really good case study that we did. So to just kind of paint the picture, there's a client that he really wanted to have a secondary an office separate from his home in his backyard, but he had several things going on in the property. He was locked in his impervious cover, number one. Number two, he did complete landscaping in his backyard. So he had the fake grass, and then he had river rock all kind of bordering his entire fence. And then he had this small little square where he had a tree in the back, like one little area where he did landscaping. And all of that counts towards impervious cover. There are different categories in how it counts. So decking counts 50%. A lot of people know that. And the reason being, water can seep through that decking and get to the ground.
Right.
That's the big part of that. If you have a driveway that's made out of concrete, obviously that's 100% impervious cover. If you've got crushed granite or something like that, but it's walked on and it's compacted, that is also 100% impervious cover. It's tricky.
People know that. Yeah.
No. And in this case, the electric easement took up the entire backyard of this guy's, entire backyard. So he was not able to do anything with his backyard. But if he didn't have that one issue, and I'm telling you, the backyard, I mean, it was 50 feet deep, the entire electric easement. So it was more of like a regional line,
Yeah.
big deal. But if he didn't have that, the turf grass counts against impervious cover. I don't remember the exact number. I think it may be like 30-40%. It's
Okay.
definitely less than decking.
Mhm.
And the river rock does count against too, because it's still seeping in, but the city still counts that. The only way landscaping doesn't count as impervious cover if it's truly landscaping and nobody's walking on top of it, compacting it. And
Oh.
that city sees it very black and white when it comes to codes and impervious cover. The other thing I would like to say about impervious cover is, there's different rules that supersede, other rules that have to do with impervious cover. So, as an example, on the east side, you've got basically all up and down the I-35 corridor, you've got the residential standards area, the area that is a lot more dense than most areas in Austin. So that entire corridor. And the big thing with the residential design standards is you are locked in your floor to area ratio. Now, floor to area ratio means it doesn't matter if you're building additional square feet on the first floor or the second floor, it counts the same as if it was all on the first floor. So if you're a single family 3 lot and you have impervious cover that's 40%, 40% is impervious cover for your building coverage. And then for your total impervious cover, it's 45%. So your 40% would be if you were inside that residential design standard zone.
Mhm.
If you had a lot that, you were at your 40% mark. If you had a 10,000 square foot lot and you have a 4,000 square foot home, it doesn't matter if your 4,000 square feet is on that first level or if it's broken up between 2,000 on the first floor and 2,000 on the second floor. So it's interesting how that works.
Yeah, for sure. That is, yeah, and that the reason I brought it up is because a lot of people think especially with landscaping, all of these things account for that, and there's only so much you can do. So I thought that was interesting that you brought it, and thank you for sharing. Real quick, let me see if I can add Amanda to this stream here. I don't see her face. Amanda, you're there?
Are you hiding in the closet?
I don't think. Let me see. Amanda, if you can hear me, girl, show your face. Wait, is she? Wait, no, she went away. She'll come back.
Okay.
I'll ask her back. I'll keep an eye out for Miss Amanda.
Hey, I'm wondering, Ricca, I guess in the last year or so, who's been your what type of clientele are you helping the most right now? I'm just curious to know what the market is asking for right now for your business, because it's pretty important. So I'm just curious what that looks like for you.
Yeah, we've really transitioned over the last year and really focused on builders and developers. I like repeat clients. I like the developers. It doesn't really matter where they're coming from. I talked to a gentleman from California today. I'm working with people from New York, but they're all good people and they all just want to be a part of Texas because the economy is so good here and people are nice. People have a heart. They care about other individuals. And I think there's a level of respect in our industry that I appreciate. And, we white glove our builders. We go out of our way for them and they love that. They don't ever leave. We are not the cheapest by any means, but we're not the most expensive. And, they like flat rates. They like being able to pick up the phone and call and talk to us. And they always have been able to. And it just makes a difference, I think, just being a good person and just doing the right thing.
Right.
Yeah. So what can someone expect? Are you guys like consultation based? Like, I don't know, somebody calls you and they're like, look, I think I want to do this, one of these ADUs in my backyard. I've got 8,000 square foot lot. I'm gonna make some money. I'll just stay put. They can expect a consultation. Do you walk the property with them? Do you kind of get an idea of what they need?
Yeah. So they would call us, and we would refer them to our website. They would schedule a residential consultation. And then Branson, who is my land reviewer, will meet them out there on the property, hand them a quick report with everything on it. We usually give them an electronic copy that day or the next day so they have it for their records. And then, tell them what to expect. We look at heritage trees, if there are any protected trees.
Yes, that is
deal.
so important. Yeah, heritage trees. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you brought that up. That's one that I forgot to write down. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Ricca.
Yeah, you're good. We make sure that, there's going to be plenty of space with any weird drainage easements or public utility easements, because sometimes that can get in the way. Sometimes there's weird things on the deed restrictions or building lines or limiting on the plats. And we really look at all of that to just make sure that if there's anything that's going to stand in the way of the project, we'll know ahead of time and be able to help the client walk them through that process. And we have our list of people that we work with. So we've got a list of architects, we've got a list of engineers and structural engineers. So we will recommend our people that we really like. I'm particular. I want to make sure that they are taken care of, that they're given good fees and good service, quality service. And, then we get the permit. Then we get their permit. And once they get their permit, we'll add their builder on. And there's several tiny home builders that are out there, like Backyard Pods, container places. That's amazing. Stevie Bear is wonderful. There's a lot of companies like that we already exclusively do all of their permitting and review all of the properties for their clients. And builders love that. They think, oh my gosh, Ricca, look at this property. They'll just email me. And so we'll just look at the property and we'll send them the report. And, it's very fluid. And it's good for the client that you guys may have that is inexperienced, that they're just not experienced. They're very green, as we like to call them. So we'll give them information. We'll give them a to-do list because we're not project managers. We have too much volume for that, but we'll give them their to-do list. This is the survey you need. You need a tree survey in addition. Is your survey less than 10 years old? There's a lot of things that we have to look at. Do they need, are they in the residential design standards, which is chapter F? So they would need a little bit more requirements. If they're doing an ADU versus a shed, they're going to need to go through visitability, which is another sheet that an architect has to do.
Wow. Yeah. And this is all good stuff. So pretty much to summarize it, someone would be able to come to you and let you know, hey, I have this plan to do with my property. Can I or can I not do this? And if I can, what are my steps? And that's where you can jump in and help. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like people try to figure out a lot of things. And I don't think people know that there's an expert like yourself. They can go to you and ask you and help them. And I also noticed that I believe on your site, someone can go in there and order a report just to kind of get like a quick overview. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it is a quick report, and it's funny because I have to give props to Elliot Sanchez, who was Realty Austin, because he said, "Why don't you just have this on your website?" And I'm like, "Why don't I have this on my website?" So I did, but yeah, they can go on there just like the consultation. They can just order a quick report. It's $150. It is the turnaround time is 24 to 36 hours, depending on when they order it that day. And it will give them everything they want to know about that property. And a lot of times realtors will order that if they focus on selling, because that's something they can easily put on MLS to show to developers or whoever's looking at that property. Hey, I'm really looking at this property. They know what their capacity is. Is there any floodplain? Is there any kind of weird zones they need to be aware of that they're going to have to get through? Has it been platted? I mean, all of the basics are there. Of course, impervious cover, all of the setbacks, just everything they want to know about the report. And maybe they don't want to know, I don't know, but
I mean, and that's very valuable, because if someone wanted to build a pool or they wanted to do, I don't know, anything, that report in itself, just to give them a brief overview of what you can and cannot do or what's done. I also noticed with the permits too. I think permits can be an issue if they're, I believe you said if they're expired, it's easy to fix, or do I have that backwards? Help me out here.
Yeah, no, expired permits are, they can be easy to fix. It depends, because you've got some that, and we still work with them, but you'll have some builders that, and it's not the, people that have been in business for years. It's the smaller GCs that come in and they think, oh, I'm going to do some GC work, but they're not an actual registered company. So they may they may do the permit, they may open the permit, but they don't call in the inspections because they don't really know what they're doing in that. And then the homeowner is left with that liability to close those permits out. So if they're expired and they haven't gone through inspection, they have to go through inspections. If it's really old and it was an application that was never withdrawn, a lot of times we're able to get it withdrawn for the client. And it's something we do for so many realtors. It's just good peace of mind for that buyer,
I also think people just, when it comes to stuff like this, a homeowner that wants a casita, tiny home, a shed, whatever you want to call it, it becomes very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know where to start. They know they have to get a permit. They know they have to go to the county. Like, it just becomes too much of a task that they just, before they even start the process, they just give up because it's just too much. So having a company like y'all's, it just says, you know what, let's just do this, help you do this for you. Here's your list, here's your homework, pay for this consultation, and then we'll provide this report and we will, help you get it started and get it moving. And do you ask these folks to come with their builders or their GCs already, or do you offer suggestions on recommendations for that?
I definitely offer recommendations. I think that you want to be careful on who you hire. You want to make sure they have proper insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I have very close friends that are builders and that were builders in the past, and you have to be very cautious on who you hire because there's a liability at stake. There's quite a bit of money on the table, and there's a lot of risk for builders too. So you have to be very careful on who you choose. And sometimes people have an understanding or they've made some contacts, but a lot of the times because the market is so hot and so busy, I introduce them to builders and they use my name because they can't get in with builders, especially the good ones, because they're too busy, So we make those introductions.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about stuff that isn't permitted? Like, for example, I have a listing right now and it's in a hot area and they had a company go in. Well, the owner bought the property. When he purchased the property, there was a casita on there already. And it was a company that went in and put the casita in the back of the house. And when I went to list the property, I found out it wasn't permitted. So whoever comes in to purchase the property, they just have to buy it knowing that.
Yeah.
And I know for some people it just doesn't matter. They don't care. They're like, it's functioning, it's fine, everything looks good. Let's buy the property. But how can that get in a way for what types of problems do you see in a situation like that?
So I think it really depends on who the builder was and what quality of workmanship, because you've got some builders who the entire reason for permitting in a jurisdiction is to make sure everything is done up to code, that it's safe, that there are no fire hazards, and that it's within the certain confines of that property in that space. So it is actually for the residents' protection. Sometimes it's seen differently, but I usually recommend that anything that was done in the past actually do get retroactively permitted. We do that sometimes. We are particular about what we do just because we want to be able to work with that builder if we can, because they should be there for the inspections.
Right.
What if the company's out of business?
Then the owner would have to potentially either call in the inspections themselves, which we can help. We can kind of direct them in that, or they just hire someone to consult. And it depends on how many trades are involved. If all 4 trades are involved, they're going to have to hire a master electrician, a plumber, all of them. They're going to have to be on site with them. Inspectors are really nice in Austin. They understand these things happen, and so they don't necessarily hold people account, or they're not going to,
Penalize.
flag them for
Yeah.
what someone else did. But they do, and so if it looks like it's up to code, then they usually will pass. Like they want to make sure the outlets are at a certain height, things like that are done properly. So then some things end up getting opened up. It really just depends on the extent or what was done. So I'd have to see, I mean, it could be something we could potentially help with. It also depends on if there's any drawings. So
It was a reputable company. I found out that the owner no longer lives in the area, so it's not in existence anymore. But
okay.
it kind of brought to light, this question came to light because you were talking about the exception with the one sink, and it is built this way.
Mm-hmm.
You walk in, there's a mini split. It's beautiful in there. It's very nice. You have the living space to the right. You have like a long counter, open shelves, one sink. And then in front of that, you have a pocket door with a toilet and a stand-up shower. So I'm like, this sounds like exactly what she said.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
sink.
Yeah, that's what they did.
That is exactly what they did.
That's what they did, and it's done very well.
Good.
And it was a reputable company. He just, he doesn't live here, so he doesn't work here anymore, the gentleman. And I don't think it's more than like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
It's fine, and I don't, that's not been a problem,
Well, good.
So,
Good.
but I'm just curious.
I had another question along the permit side. I know on the city of Austin website, there is a way to find a list of open, expired, pending permits. What if you suspect that something was done, but there's no trace of, such as enclosing like a sunroom or adding to the back of a house, right? What if there's no record of that anywhere? And oops, don't know what happened, but let me see if I can add you guys on here. All right, there you go. I see all of you guys. But what would happen if a buyer's wanting to buy a particular property and there's a sunroom and we cannot find any permits on it? I'm just saying, like, what would happen, or is there a risk to that? And if you can't find anything, like, how do you go about finding this?
What do you mean by sunroom? Do you mean like it's actually closed in with sheetrock and everything?
Yes, it's enclosed in with sheetrock and everything. And the reason there's nothing known about it is because it's an estate sale. So so the person that got the property, they never lived at the property. They obviously can't ask the owner anymore. But I'm just wondering, how does someone go about that to finding that information out?
Yeah, so it can be tricky. Austin has their ways of looking that information up. They can look up square footages. They can look up what's listed for taxes, but they can also see, they have mapping systems that go back 20, 30 years, and they can look and see what has been added on and what's been enclosed.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll give an example. A builder one time reached out to me and they said, "Oh my gosh, we have gone through permitting. We're in our third round of comments. We're having a hard time." And so I got involved. I read the comments. I reached out to my friends at the city because they're all good people to me. I've had great experiences with everybody, the staff in Austin, and most planners just speak Planese. So, it's kind of easy to talk to them. But in this particular case, they were doing a bathroom and kitchen remodel, but the previous owner had enclosed the patio. And they didn't know that. And that was one of the comments. So they didn't necessarily know what they had to do. So we had to get them to fix all of the drawings to include that into the permit, which is what they were asking for, the city was asking for. And there was electricity in there. And so they had to go through some different inspections. But we just rolled it into the permit and got it approved. But it was difficult because when you get red flagged in the city, or to think that you're doing something the wrong way, or you're not being honest, it never goes the right way. I mean, I think that's really important for realtors to know, and for just owners to know, that it's just better to do the right thing, even if it takes a few extra steps. It may cost a little bit of extra money, but in the long run, you're not liable for that information. It's legal. You're doing the right thing, and you will never have a problem selling the property. So some people don't mind, but other people do, especially
Exactly.
people from California or these other states that they're used to these regulations. I have a friend that's a client that he's from New York. He just moved here this year, and he said you just don't do anything without a permit expediter ever because it's too complicated. But we're talking about New York, so
Right. Yeah, New York, I'm sure.
yeah,
Very different market.
Yeah.
yes.
That's crazy. Let's see, I know you have this list of things that folks should look out for, such as zoning, floodplain, deed restrictions, and whatnot. Floodplains. Can you talk a little bit about floodplains?
Yes.
Some people feel that, oh, it's fine. It's on a floodplain, and I can just build up and it'll be fine because there's a good deal there's a property that's being sold there, and they think it's a good deal, and they think they can get away by just building up higher. Can you talk a little bit more about those floodplains?
Yes. Yes, and it's an important point because in Austin, with the new Atlas 14 code, and it's not new anymore, it's definitely a few years old, but we call it new.
Right.
But you can't build in a 25-year floodplain ever. And there are good deals, and it's dirt cheap. But honestly, the city of Austin, and they may already be doing this. I mean, I know that they were, and when the Halloween floods happened in 2010, I believe.
Yes, I think it was 2010. Yeah.
They started purchasing a lot of those properties that got completely wiped out and flooded, and they literally, I mean, it was like a monsoon had hit. It was horrible. It was just scary for a lot of those residents, and so they started acquiring and purchasing those properties. They're not doing that with all of them because there's probably too many of them.
Yeah.
Development, because that happens. When you have more development, that you're adding more impervious cover, you're going to add more runoff. It's got to go somewhere. All that rain and water has to go somewhere. But it's not the case with 100 year and 500 year. 100 year is is still complicated. You cannot. 2015. Thank you, Edgar.
There's Edgar. Hey, Edgar.
Yeah, that makes sense because it was a long time ago. But anyway, so we've got a client that owns a property off of Chico Street, and it's in the 100-year floodplain, which is no problem. There's just a variance of, we need a variance to build in the floodplain, but that doesn't mean you can't build in the floodplain. But one of the problems is between where the road is and where his property is, there isn't like a little bit of an uphill, so it's up about a foot or two. It's a little complicated because that still will limit your amount of stories that you can do within your tent drawing. So our architects do what we call a tent drawing, which will show all the setbacks and the height regulation so that they know exactly how tall their second floor can be in the very top of the pitch of the roof. And in order to kind of meet that regulation, because 35 feet is the height there, that is the limit of the height. They are going to cut in a little bit to the property, like by a foot or two, so that they're not losing 3 feet, because that's
Right.
That is prime time space that they need. So depending on what they're looking at would really depend on what floodplain that they're looking at, whether it be 500 year or 100 year. Will just depend on what the regulations are. I know someone had a question about how long does it take to go through permitting right now. It depends on the project, but I would say in general, residential, a month and a half, if your plans are perfect. There is also a different department called expedited review in Austin, and that costs about 3 times more. And to give you an example, a residential permit can be $1,000. Just the application, not the actual building permit that's approved, but the application to get approved.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And and then on the flip side of that, the expedited review will cost $3,000 to $3,500. A lot of builders will do that depending on what kind of builder they are. If they're building a spec home and then flipping it, they're going to do that because that time is also money as well.
Right. Exactly.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Especially when they're borrowing money. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. The high interest loans.
Yeah.
They're like, let's get this in quick.
Yeah.
Because not only that, they're also gambling on the market whenever it gets done.
Yes. So, yeah. We get the brunt of all of that anxiety.
Got that question down there.
Yes, let's see. What if only part of the lot or properties in the floodplain? Very good question. You know, we'd have to really look to see what you can do and what you can build. But I would say, as a rule of thumb, if there's room on the property to build outside of the floodplain, you don't have to worry about it. We've seen that absolutely happen.
Right. And then, yeah, go ahead, Ricca. Sorry.
No, you're good. You could also, you know, of course, use pier and beam as a foundation instead of using just a regular cement concrete foundation, which sometimes helps a lot with floodplain and just water flow, depending on what kind of floodplain we're talking about. But if you're building in the floodplain, a good thing that I'm just remembering, it's been a long day. If you are building in the floodplain, you have to build 3 feet above whatever that floodplain base level is anyway. So if you're not building on pier and beams, you're spending way too much money on concrete.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. So
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you guys specialize mostly in Austin, or how far of the market do you guys expand?
You know, that is a good question. I've done stuff out of state, but I like to stay in Texas. I get bored really easily, so I like to dabble, but we're all over Texas. I mean,
How about coastal?
Say that coastal?
Coastal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I would always look at it and see. I've never met a plan reviewer I haven't made friends with, to be honest.
Well, I may have you out at my property.
There you go. That's right. Because you have those. Are you talking about those lots you have in Magnolia Beach?
I haven't developed them yet.
She has 3. Is it 3 or 4, Melissa?
5.
5. Yeah, she has 5 lots out there. So
nice.
She's been wanting to develop that, so that'll be a good one. I'm excited to see when you start getting to work on that, Melissa.
I love beach property. That's on my dream list to own a beach property. Honestly.
Yes.
Awesome.
She has an Airbnb out in is it Indian Point or Magnolia Beach? Is it the same thing?
It's Magnolia Beach, but the position of the property is at the point with what was once called Indian Point. So this is in Port Lavaca.
Okay.
It's in Magnolia Beach.
Nice.
Really cute.
Yeah, I like
Have you out, Ricca?
I love it. I'll come. You want to invite me to the beach? I will come to the beach.
Bro. 1 year free stay. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
The next question I had, Ricca, was as far as when it comes to individuals that are purchasing lots, the width of the lot. What's a minimum that they should know off the top of their head that they should look at in order for them to be able to do something? I think there is something of things to consider whenever someone's purchasing the property. If it's less than 50, that might be tough, I want to say, but I don't know. I'll let you get into that.
Yes. I mean, a minimum in Austin is 50 feet wide. And, you know, you don't want to, if you're looking at properties that are smaller than the legal lot size, and in Austin, the legal lot size is 5,700 square feet, or 50 square feet, excuse me. We need to make sure that it's grandfathered in. And what that means is we go through a process in Austin, and different cities have different processes. Georgetown literally calls it grandfathering it in. But in Austin, they call it a land status determination. And so it's a process where we have to apply and do a formal letter, but we have to go to Travis County, pull microfilm. It's kind of old school, but I actually really enjoy it. I actually
so cool
friends there because I've been doing it for so long, you know, for over 5 years. And anyway, really good people in Travis County. But I go through and I have to go through all of the deeds consecutively. And usually the rule is 1946. If you can find deeds prior to 1946 in that same land configuration, if it's not in the same configuration, then you're not grandfathered in. If it's not platted, then you'd have to go through the platting process. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're avoiding the minimum lot size rule. And this is something that I've learned recently because we were flagged on a property off of Kimball Lane that it was really unfortunate because I did a land status determination. I did everything right. And we're in the final stages of getting our building permit. And they came back with a new comment, and Austin can do this because, you know, cities and jurisdictions are completely immune to, you know, lawsuits and things like that. So they came back and said, oh, we forgot to tell you this isn't a minimum lot size, so you have to go through a variance. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm looking for any loopholes. There aren't any. I literally, you know, had to have the conversation with the client, say, I'm so sorry. There's nothing we could have done to prevent this. I've seen properties go through without them asking for that. So I wasn't expecting them to ask that. But the problem with this property was they were able to avoid platting by the grandfathering in of the property, but they were not able to avoid that minimum lot size. And in the new code, this lot size was right under 5,000 square feet. So it's very far away from the painful for the client, very painful. Because it's, you know, a variance process takes several months. It's like a rezone that takes 3 to 4 months to go through. And we're at the mercy of when planning and zoning meets and when board of adjustments meets. And they're a hardcore group. You know, you got to have your P's and your Q's. And I mean, you have to just be very exact. And it's kind of like going into a board of a commission full of attorneys. You know, that's what
I can only imagine. Wow.
Stressful, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's tough. I mean, for someone pretty and then just to, you know, it's kind of like it's out of your hands now. And you're like, well, this is what they came up with. I do have something interesting. So my sister, she owns property in Seguin, and it is I want to say it's almost 1.5 acres, and it's a historical home. The weird thing is that half of it, or not half of it, but the front part of it is zoned commercial, and the back part of it is zoned residential. But there's a portion of the house, almost the entire house is on the commercial part that's been grandfathered in residential. A portion of the back that's in the residential part of the property. Now, she's been talking to me about ideas, right, on developing the property and have it produce income for her. So I'm thinking, is this something she can come to you and tell you her plan? She's kind of lost of where do I start? What do I do? And I'm like, you really need to do a lot of research and ask questions. And you would be the person I think that could help her with this, because she was thinking about on the commercial side, developing some to rent out some to businesses, right? Have some either a barn dominium or something that she can rent out and lease out to prospective businesses, bring more business into the Seguin, because she's well known in the community. And then the back part, maybe do some long-term rentals or short-term rentals on the back part. And she asked me, she was like, is this something I can do? And I said, honestly, I don't know. This is like beyond me. You really need an expert in that field to tell you if you can do this. So I'm thinking I'm going to send her your information and have her talk to you, because we've been talking about this. We even got to the point of, we got her survey and like mapped out, oh, you could have these, we mapped out little boxes, like you could have 4 businesses here, enough parking space, because you need, I know that's important too, parking spaces. There's, I think there's a minimum in Seguin that you need to have a specific amount of parking spaces. Yeah, all of that matters. And I'm excited now, because it just came in my head right now. She's been asking me for a while, and then she's held off. So I don't even know if she's watching, but I'm going to send her your information so she can talk to you. I'm like, girl, you need to talk to an expert on this, on developing this property. I help sell and help buyers purchase property. And
development is a whole different ball of wax, girl.
And that's like way over me. So I'm thinking you can help her with that. So I'm going to send her your information, because it's kind of a unique situation with her and Seguin. So
that's so fun. That's so exciting. Good for her. It's amazing that she's doing that, and she's already like now well known in the area. And I love working with women-owned businesses. I'm a big supporter of local businesses. I'm very loyal to all local businesses and try and support as many as I can, even my cleaning lady. I mean, I'm always just trying to help people. But I love that she's doing that. And I think, yeah, first step would be to do a quick report so that or maybe even a consultation, and then meet with me online, and we can talk about her ideas and figure out what her zoning would be good for, and if it would be incorporated, because every zone has a list of land uses.
Yes.
And you've got to fall within those land uses. And we do rezones all the time. In fact, most rezones, I will go to the city and have a conversation with them. And I'm so actually, I don't know if I can share that. Okay.
Nice. Oh my God. Now I want to know. I'm like, my whole ear opened up. I was like, what?
Let me see. My ears peeking right now.
I was like, what?
I will say there is a city that is changing a zone, creating a zone for my clients, because it's a product that they really want. And that's exciting to see the city go out of their way for the type of retail and live work kind of situation that will really change the face of the downtown area for this particular city. It's not Austin, but I always double check to make sure on rezones if staff will recommend it, and see if it's in line with what they're trying to see. Because I don't really lose rezones. I've lost 2 in 6 years, and those 2, one was a complete curveball. The city council had a wild hair, and they decided they didn't like drive-throughs, and they weren't going to permit.
Wow.
And then after COVID, they were like, "Oh wait, no, we like drive-throughs."
Oh my gosh! Yeah, wait a minute.
Hey,
Ricca's like, no take backsies.
I know, right?
Yeah, that was crazy. It was literally like maybe a year or less before COVID happened, and then I looked back and I thought that would have been such a good idea, because it was off of William Cannon. It's an old vacant bank. I think they ended up just selling the property, but they were going to do healthy choices and salads and like bistro-y, and it already had the drive-through and everything, and they were going to anyway. It was a great idea, but
oh my goodness, yeah, that's crazy. The
I
time
live in Manor, and I'm excited. We got Nancy B coming.
I love Manor. I love the mayor of Manor. Dr. Harvey is so amazing. We have a client that has a huge property in Manor. I like the city council. I like Scott Jones, Scott Dunlop, all the leadership. I think they're great. I think Dr. Harvey is sort of like a shepherd of the city, and he has a really good heart, and I think he's steering the city in a really good. I love Manor. I think it's a good area.
We're getting a Home Depot. We're getting a HEB. We're getting a Kohl's. I mean, times are changing out here, okay?
Yeah.
Small town too?
Over there.
Right?
Oh my gosh, you're funny, girl.
That's awesome.
Oh my God,
I can't wait.
So cool. I'm excited for you, Melissa, because that's it. It's overdue, I think, in Manor, and then in Doe Valley too. I mean, gosh,
they need a grocery store too. They
need it so bad. They need it so bad. So I'm
coming that way.
Yeah, exactly. All the development that's happening. We did a live stream a couple weeks ago about Southeast Austin and all the development, or the land that was purchased for industrial or just future development. And I'm just wondering, what are they going to do, right? Because I'm like, it's going to boom, I think. We can't predict the future, but we can foresee.
We're from Antopolis, so we're like really jazzed to see what's going to happen on the Riverside corridor, because it's going to be something pretty massive. And I mean, is this going to be like amazing, or is this? I told Liza it's going to look like its own little downtown off of Riverside. With all they have coming. It's pretty massive. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, the landscape has definitely it's changed quite a bit, and it's still ongoing. So, could you imagine someone that has left Austin 10 years ago and they're back? What a major difference, right? What it looks.
They wouldn't recognize.
They wouldn't recognize it. Yeah.
We talk about it all the time, because my husband is a true Austinite, born in Austin, raised in Austin, he lived off of Quail Ridge, which was like
I know that's it.
Austin. Oh my gosh. Near, where Austin FC is, and we go to almost all the games. And yeah, it's just between like Pflugerville, where we live now, and Austin and Quail Ridge, that whole like North Austin neighborhood.
Did he go to Lanier High School?
Yeah, I think he did for a while. And his sister, and she was in the basketball team. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a county road. There was no
Yep.
And he used to walk just elementary school, and he went to private school at Brentwood. Can you imagine walking 3 miles now? Like,
Forget it.
who would let their elementary kid do
I wouldn't. I know. I wouldn't. My husband talks to me about that. Well, he grew up in Liberty Hill, and he would tell me the same thing. He was like, yeah, we would just walk a couple miles. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable letting my son do that. I mean, a lot can happen in a couple miles.
Crazy people on the streets,
Yeah. And, I raised my kids in Cedar Park. I lived there a good 13 years. And that's how they zone the buses. If you're 2 miles or less from the school, they don't bus. But, so they would walk. All the kids in the neighborhood would walk. But that was normal. I mean, at Cedar Park now, forget it. I'm sure they've changed their bus zoning rules. But I mean, I didn't let my kids walk. I'm like, I'm dropping you off. Then when they got in high school, whatever friend had a car, they would pick them up. Then we did carpool. But 2 miles or less was the threshold for, if you were under 2 miles, you had to walk to school. There were no buses. Can you believe that? It's wild.
Crazy.
It is crazy. A lot
Times
has
have changed, though.
Yeah.
Sure. Everything has changed, but there's also a lot of opportunity for folks, and we're expanding. And I'm really glad that you were here to explain all of that, Ricca, because I didn't even know for a while that there's people out there like you that can explain this entire part and that you can help them. And the fact that you have connections, if they needed an engineer, if they needed someone to help them with something that's out of your scope, you have that connection. And that's what's, to me, even more important, because when you need everything, the whole package, you're pretty much it for that. So that's amazing to have that for someone that's either wanting to develop, or it could be something small, pool, ADU, or landscaping. Can I do this? It seems like it varies, and that you are very knowledgeable in all of those aspects. So that's awesome.
Can I ask one quick question about the tiny homes and what's allowed in Austin and why they changed the rules and all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Hit me.
That was it. Tell me about it, girl.
Oh,
Melissa's like tiny homes. There wasn't a question mark at the end.
Question mark.
Tiny homes are very popular. It depends on, what's already on the property will depend on, how it's designated. If it's going to be the primary, it can be the primary. There's, some weird deed restrictions that kind of limit square footage as far as minimum goes. So you have to be careful about that. But, built container places is a really good, I think I'm saying it right.
Container homes?
Container homes.
Okay.
Stevie Bear, just Google Stevie Bear, but she does custom tiny homes. She likes to, she has a couple builders, but she is a builder, but she also uses Terry, she can do the custom stick built, or you can do more of a shipping container as well. So it just depends on what you like, or you could do a manufactured, but it depends on what area you're in. There's some areas that have small lot amnesty. So they have better impervious coverage designation, so you can get more on your lot. 55% is usually the rule there, so it gives you an added 10% impervious cover, especially if you have a really small lot, like if it's 3,600 square feet or something, you need that extra percentage.
Right.
But yeah, they're very popular, tiny homes, and depending on the size of your lot, and if you have a primary home. We've seen like some of the older homes in the older historic districts that, they want to keep the old homes. And the city wants you to keep the old homes. They do not want you to tear them down. And so they will give you an incentive and say, keep the old home and build your primary home in the back and call that front home the ADU, and then build a larger home in the back. That way you're preserving old Austin. I think it's important to do that. We want that character in Austin to stay, you know?
Absolutely. I agree with that. I love driving through and just the older home. When I see the older homes and the character, it's not all the same. It's like, oh, look at this. And I don't know. I just love
it too.
Yeah.
I love to drive in Austin neighborhoods. I'm like, oh my gosh,
I know, right?
That's old school. And then you've got a completely modern looking home, you know?
Yeah, I know, right?
So much fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I have one in South Austin for sale. If y'all want an old Austin home.
Awesome.
04.
In
Love it.
area, that's
In 04.
Does it have an ADU?
Yes, it actually does. We just talked
That
about
is
it.
so cool.
That is cool.
Did I miss that? Oh my gosh, where was I at?
It's not permitted, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't look at it.
Exactly. It's a great house. It's a great house. It really is a cool house. And I mean, it's just a cool house. It's good. It's good vibe. It's very Austin. It is quintessential Austin.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
And that reminds me, I had another question. So about AB units, right? If someone wanted to, the lot's big enough and they wanted, and I'm actually going through this with another one of my clients. The lot is big enough to have a AB unit or a condo regime on the actual lot, but there's a problem with there's a few trees that can be taken down since they're smaller trees, but there's one tree that is a protected tree. If someone wanted to find a workaround, like what they can do to work around the tree, is that something that you would be able to help with as well? Or is this something that you would defer to maybe one of your connections?
It depends. I would probably do a consultation to just review it myself and to measure the tree and things like that. If someone came to me and they said, look, I know that it's this one particular tree. It is protected. We're trying to really figure out what we can do with it. I would refer them to an arborist. And I really like Mark Mann with the Tree Man Solutions group. Okay. He's got his stuff together. He's got a good company. He's got good employees. I think he must really treat them well, and he just does a very good job. Every time I email him, even if it's just the info email, he responds. He has come back and said, thank you so much for sending people to us. And I'm like, well, you're bigger than me, but I like you. You know, I'm going to get to you one day. I'm going to be like you one day, you know?
No, that's awesome. No, I love asking this because you never know. Maybe the viewers might find this very helpful and they'll reach out to you and then y'all can work that out and you can help them out maybe. But it's good to know all these questions. There's many different scenarios that someone will come across that I really think you cover it all. And I think it's awesome. And I'm excited about it because Melissa's going to look into that property profile probably for her Magnolia Beach. You might need a consultation from that, Melissa.
I think I do. I'm a perfect example of being overwhelmed and not knowing where to start.
Yeah.
I've had these lots for over a year and they're still sitting there. I'm like, I don't even know. I have an idea of what I want. I don't know how to execute it. And I know
there you go.
The research has to be done and everything has to be, it's just a lot. You know, and then finding builders out in that area or developers is another like issue, but
yeah.
But yeah, the starting point would be, hey, this is allowable. This is about the square footage you can do. And you know, this design probably won't work or this one will. So I think that you probably do need a consult.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, that's common and that's normal, guys. It's common to be at that point where you have ideas. There's certain things that you want to do to a property, and it's okay not to know that because you have an expert like Ricca that you can go to and talk about these plans, discuss what you're wanting to do, and then she can get an idea and then plan out for you. Okay, this is what you can and cannot do. This is the list of the things that you need to get done. Here are the connections that I have to vendors or engineers. And I think that's wonderful. So again, guys, we do have Ricca's information here. Her website is keeperslandplanning.com. I also have her information, her phone number, email, and her site also pinned to the video here in the info section. But I think we are ready to wrap it up, guys. I'm excited. Again, we are ATX Homegirls, and I keep forgetting because I'm horrible at this. But please like and subscribe to our page. We probably would be more if I would ask for it more, but I keep forgetting because we're having such a fun, engaging conversation. But other than that, guys, I think we are wrapping it up. What do y'all think? We're good.
It was fun. It was very informative.
I think this is very informative. I think this is very valuable to have a connection like you, Ricca, because I'm going to be using those property profile reports from now on.
I am too.
Right, Melissa? Don't you think? I'm like, $150? Yeah, worth it. Let's pull everything up and know everything about the property. So yeah, this is valuable information, guys. And $150 meant to know everything about a property. Done. Easy.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right, guys. Well, I think
that's good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Liza and Melissa. I just really appreciate it. And I feel so grateful to have, people like you in my life. And yeah, anytime I can help, you let me know. I'll be there for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Yay. This is a good one. So again, guys, all the information is pinned in this video. We are ATX Homegirls. Our next live is not next week on Wednesday, but the week after that. So we do go live every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. Please like and subscribe. There you go. I'm asking again. And we are out, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.